Hello everyone, it is your doctor, Dr. Remy LeBeau, and I'm here to help you get through the next few days with your weekly, bi-weekly, bi-monthly, however often it is that you check out these videos, treatment intended to help you deal with the scourge that you and your family have had to deal with for generations, X-Men statue withdrawal syndrome. Today we have two very awesome statues of one of the most classic characters to ever be created within the X-Men canon, and that is, of course, Mr. Logan, Wolverine, James Howlett, whatever you want to call him. He is an awesome character, and it's great to have a variety of statues of him in a variety of poses, in a variety of costumes because, well, I mean, why not? If you can afford it, great. If you can't afford it, hopefully this video will help you decide, if you're trying to figure out which Wolverine statue to get, hopefully this video will help you decide which one to get between these two very cool options. So both of these were sculpted by Randy Bowen himself, the progenitor of Bowen Designs. This one was done in 2008, and there were actually two versions of this one. And this one was done in 2008 as well. Oh, both were done the same year, and there were actually three versions of this one. So that year there were actually um, five statues of Wolverine released, I think, give or take a year. There's three versions of this. There's this one. There's the unmasked version of this statue, which I have featured already on my blog or plan to feature soon. And my video channel. And there is also the original costume version, the version that represents him in the costume that he appeared in Incredible Hulk number 181. So if you're that kind of fan, if you're the kind of fan that wants all three of these, get them. They're all cool. If you're the kind of fan that is just like a fan from the 70s and then you stopped afterwards, but you hold Wolverine dear to your heart because you were reading when he was introduced, but you only like his original design. They did a really great statue of him in Randy Bowen did a really great statue of him in his original costume in this pose. But there's also another version of Wolverine in his original costume, which is a variant of the Weapon X statue that I've already posted stuff of on my blog and have done or will be doing some comparison videos of. So if you're an original costume fan of Wolverine, there's plenty of original costume statues to go around. Now, as far as this one goes, there's the brown costume, and there's actually a tiger stripe version of this statue, the same exact statue in this costume here. So if you like this costume and you like this statue, you can combine them by getting the variant of this one. There's a lot of options to consider if you're just deciding to get one Wolverine option, one Wolverine statue. But if you're a big Wolverine fan and you want as many Wolverine statues as possible, fortunately for you, this situation benefits you in that there's just a lot of them to go around. There's a lot of versions of this character to go around. There's just a lot of Wolverine awesome stuff available for you to display in a Wolverine extravaganza, extravaganza. All right, so like I said, both of these were produced in 2008. Right now it's 2013, so that's 5 years ago. It's like roughly June of 2013. They were both sculpted by Randy Bowen. Currently, they're both kind of reasonably priced. I think this one you can probably find for 150 to 200, maybe slightly more. This one you can find for like 1 to 150, probably more along the 150 to 175 range. So, I mean, this one obviously has a lot more to it because it's got like this very impressive rocky base, which I've talked a lot about on the individual posts for this statue. And this one has the very simple base. So you would think that this one would cost more, but in the end, it's like supply and demand. It's like market forces that are setting these prices. And because there's so many Wolverine statues, I think these kind of wind up falling in the same kind of price range. So as far as like getting more bang for your buck, you're going to get more bang for your buck here on this one here. And personally, I really like this statue more than I like this one because it's more dynamic. There's just a lot to see, and I really like the rocky base. I think it's done really nicely. There's a lot of detail to it, and it's just more to look at. Plus provides for like this really great setting for Wolverine to be, you know, kind of just in a berserker rage attack kind of stance, which is awesome, which is a way to represent him in that reflects, you know, his character more than just a simple sort of museum pose statue version of him. But there's nothing wrong with a simple museum pose version of him. In fact, it's nice to get just a statue of him in a very sort of composed state, and just kind of, you know, just showing himself as a character without needing any kind of context for him. So, you know, both of these are great statues. This one is cool as well. Um, Obviously, a big sort of distinction between the two is the costume. You've got this original sort of costume of Wolverine, not the original costume of Wolverine, but this is like the next evolution of Wolverine after he was introduced in Incredible Hulk 181. I'm pretty sure that he already had this costume when he was put into giant-sized X-Men #1, in which, you know, we had Storm and Banshee and Colossus and Nightcrawler and Sunfire introduced and Thunderbird introduced. So um, as soon as he sort of got included into the X-Men, you know, world continuity, they redesigned the costume into this costume. He had this costume for a really long time through a lot of like the seminal storylines, and then he eventually evolved into the brown costume, which you're seeing here, which is like a fan favorite. A lot of people really like this costume. One reason might be that this is the costume he had in the classic Frank Miller Wolverine miniseries. But beyond that, he actually had like a solo series for a very long time, and he had this costume. A lot of really cool stories came out of that, and uh, and he just looks great. He has looked great in this costume uh, for a very long time. When X-Men Volume 2 came out, which was done by Jim Lee and Chris Claremont, and that was the same era that kind of started the 90s X-Men cartoon. Jim Lee went back to this style of the costume, and I think that was to be more in line with the X-Men cartoon and sort of probably more in line with the color palette that they were going for in that cartoon, which was like the yellows and the blues and the reds. Um, and so this became popular again, and this one kind of just, we haven't seen this one much since. So this one, for those that are big fans of like the 90s cartoon and kind of got to know the X-Men during that period, would probably be more inclined to like this one more if you're just basing your decision on costume choice. So, and this one's done really nicely. I've said a lot about it in the individual video. It's just a really great representation of him in this costume, painted beautifully. I love like the kind of the glossy blue paint that was used for like the kind of blue aqua-y elements of the costume. They did a great job. And then you got the matte yellow, lovely, just lovely. Um, if so, bases, this one takes it because it's just more impressive. I love the X base, but I love this. As far as pose go, this one takes it as well. It's just more dynamic, more interesting. It kind of just screams like attack, attack, you know, just powerful mutant, uh, you know, just aggressor, like, you know, going for like some, you know, some villain, you know, without any kind of reservation, without any hesitation, just ready to take out some you know, a villain that's probably coming after the X-Men. There's a lot about this statue that just evokes power and just really captures Wolverine really well. Again, uh, you know, it's nice to have a museum pose, but if you're choosing between the two, this is more dynamic. It works really great. Randy Bowen did a really great job on it, so this one takes the cake as far as that. Um, Face wise, they're both great faces. Like this one's just more stoic and peaceful here, and of course is in line with like the museum pose nature of the statue, which is just to to in a very simple way show the character and just be kind of reserved in everything that that is a feature of it. In this one, again, it's like, you know, he's like got this berserker rage like quality to him, and so his face represents that really well. He's got all his teeth sheathed and look great. It's great. Like the face looks fantastic on this one as well. The claws are both very similar on these guys, so I can't really say one wins over the other. I've mentioned before in the Weapon X statue, it has like really long claws, like really long exaggerated claws, and that's actually my favorite sort of way to represent his claws because he's larger than life. It's larger than life to have claws like that, so you might as well make them larger than life when you're making a statue of Wolverine. That's just my opinion. Um, okay, so if we're just making a decision based on which statue is better, I'm gonna have to say this statue is better. I like this statue better. You can see it's just got a really incredible design to it, really great execution, and just is fantastic. Works really well in like a versus sort of displays. I'll do like a video of him sort of being displayed with other villains in a versus sort of uh, setting, which I think works great and is fantastic. And so, uh, there's a lot of potential for display for this one. As a standalone piece, it's a lot more interesting than this one. If you're looking just to have a Wolverine piece on your desk or something, or like around your desk or somewhere in the area that you live, like this one, it just catches the eye a little more, right? And it's not because of the costume. Again, if it is because of the costume, this version exists in this costume, so that shouldn't be a big determinant for you. Oh, there's actually one other version of this one in this costume in which he's unmasked. So I actually forgot to mention that one. So there's actually a lot of versions of both of these statues available. So you don't necessarily have to make your decision based on on getting one of these two statues. These just sort of provide a basis for making your decision. Um, so again, as far as price goes, I think it doesn't really make a difference. They're both kind of in the same price range. Maybe this one's slightly more expensive, maybe not. Um, uh, I think that pretty much does it. So this one wins, but this one's impressive. This one works better. I was gonna say this one works better in like a team display, but that's not necessarily true. What it does is allows you to sort of, because in a team display you need a lot of room. It just allows you to sort of condense the space you need in order to make it more manageable for you to figure out how to place the various characters in a particular team. This one obviously is more difficult because it takes up more room. And if room is an issue for you, you should definitely go for this one. But with this one, you can position it in a particular way. Like I have it behind a statue of Nightcrawler, which is like smaller and kind of lower down. So it works really well. You see Logan and you see Nightcrawler in front of him, and Nightcrawler doesn't obscure the vision of him within the display. Just maybe like the base a bit, but not really enough to the point where the base is completely obscured. So you can see everything of this statue, and it works well in the display. So it's a little trickier to display him in a team, but not impossible. So again, if we're deciding which statue is better overall, this one's better overall. But this one's a close second. This one's not a bad statue. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed this little comparison video of these two very cool statues of Wolverine made by Bowen Designs, both sculpted by Randy Bowen. Again, you can check out my blog post, which has links to the individual posts for these statues, so you can look at more photos of each one and the individual videos for each one, just to give you a better idea about each one's sort of distinguishing features without being within the context of like this comparison setting video. And so thank you for checking out my blog. My blog is X-Men Statues of Future Past.blogspot.com. Thank you for checking out my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Remy LeBeau's X-Layer. And as always, I think it's important to mention that I would prefer that you put an X in the box because ain't nobody checking me. Take care of yourselves. I'll catch you all very soon. Bye-bye.